All right, we are live, and I have Mitchell from Australia on the line. He's not gonna give us a view of his beautiful face, or he might. I don't know. It just depends. He's doing mostly audio right now until well, while he drives or whatever. But he's been a busy man, it sounds like, and he's been going all over the place over in Australia. So I don't know. We're gonna pick his brain a little bit, kind of get into some of the stuff that he's been involved in, and so I have. Well, for one thing, we're gonna address a few issues, and we'll get into like the flat Earth school. That's the newest thing that I've seen you're involved in, and that's. I'd like to learn more about that, and then I think one of the first things I ever heard about the black swan was your video. I want to talk about that in regards to flat Earth. Like kind of the, you know, I don't. You could explain it better than me. I'm not really good at explaining flat Earth stuff, but I've been following Mitchell kind of ever since. Well, Dave Weiss, like when he was trying to chase after, trying to get Dave to take his phone calls on the voice. Dave never answers, apparently.
No, he doesn't answer. Thanks for having me on, Charlie. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So Mitchell, what have you been doing with your life now or recently? I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening over in Australia.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening here. That's pretty much why I'm doing the Flat Earth School, because I've had to kind of reinvent myself, kind of find another avenue to create some income. And let me know if the audio drops out here, because it might come and go. Am I sounding all right?
Yeah, you sound good.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, like I was saying, the stuff going on here in Australia, the lockdowns, the mandates, the bullshit going on here. Like it's the government telling everyone that they have to do things. That's one thing. All right. So the government's telling everyone they have to do things, and they're introducing laws. But then there's another thing going on where everybody's freaking out about it. Everybody on the street is a dobber, pretty much. Your next door neighbor is a dobber. If you're doing the wrong thing, they call the police comes around, gives you a fine, says you can't be doing that. It's not the government like controlling the people. It's the people policing the people at the moment. And that's the worst thing about what's going on. It's ridiculous. And then so it's kind of got to stage 2 of all the mark of the beast things going on here, if we're going to call it the mark of the beast. Thing that's getting.
Let me point that out to everybody. We're not going to call it the injection or whatever. We're going to call it the mark of the beast as a, I don't know, description for what we're talking about. So they're going to be doing the mandates of the mark of the beast, and I don't know if they're really mandating it there. They're just saying stay home. If you're not going to get involved in our mark of the beast system, just stay home and protect everybody else from your potential, Anyway.
You can't even logic it, like, because they literally tell you by getting the mark of the beast, you don't prevent yourself from getting COVID. You don't prevent others from getting COVID. You don't. It doesn't serve any benefit other than if you do get COVID, you won't get it as bad. That's the only benefit. That's what the mainstream are telling us. It doesn't do anything but kind of settle it down a bit if you believe you get COVID or whatever. So it's all surrounded the mark of the beast right now. So it's up to stage 2. Stage 1 was locking down pretty much the whole of Australia. Like half of Australia was locked down at one stage. My entire state is now locked down at the moment, and
what state are you in?
New South Wales. So kind of the eastern state, the largest population centre.
Yeah, so, I think, when I was talking to Max Egan, he said he was in Queensland. Is that?
So that's north. Yeah, that's north of us. And yeah, up in Queensland at the moment, they've still got all their football games. They've got all their sport. They can 10,000, 20,000 people can cram into a stadium, but you go south of that border and there's nothing going on. Kids sports cancelled, national sports cancelled, national events cancelled. You can't go to a funeral, you can't go to a wedding, you can't be free. Everything's cancelled.
Oh,
Just south of that border in New South Wales. So where I was going with the mark of the beast sort of thing. So the first stage was locking down everyone, and the government telling us it's the only way out of this lockdown. It's been 8 weeks now of the 9-week lockdown for Sydney. The only way out of this lockdown is to get the mark of the beast rate up. That's I almost said it. that is the only way out of this lockdown. So they've seen a pretty good adoption, but it's running out. I'm not sure if they're going to extend the lockdown because they continually have extended it. It started with over the weekend to 7 days, 2 weeks to almost 3 months now. So it's indefinite. So that was the first stage. And the second stage now, they haven't mandated it. There's nothing mandatory about it because they say that we can't mandate this. It's up to everybody to take it upon themselves. Do the right thing. That's the slogan. Do the right thing. It's up to everyone to go and do this themselves. And so now the second stage is forcing workplaces, which I've been directly affected. That's why I'm doing this Plato school because my workplace has told me in order to go onto work sites, it's now mandatory for the work site. The government's not making it mandatory. It's mandatory on the work site to have the mark of the beast. And that's where they're going with it right now.
Yeah. So if anybody's just checking in right now, you'll hear us say mark of the beast. We're using that as a kind of a code word for everybody knows that we're not allowed to talk about the mark of the beast. So anyways, the same thing is around here. Most of the mandates are coming from, the government doesn't mandate anything. They're strongly urging businesses to start mandating it. And so like a lot of the hospitals and things like that are now mandating it for the staff. And I actually, my brother-in-law, it just so happens to be a physician assistant. So he actually, he just was telling me that he got it. And he's like, I think it's stupid that they would make us get it, but I got to do it to keep my job. So that's the kind of mentality that a lot of people are having. They feel like they have to do it in order to function in society. But the reality is see, like the funny thing is my brother-in-law, he doesn't even look into like the VAERS or, the things where they're talking about the injuries that come from it, the injuries that come from the mark of the beast. So, obviously you and I.
Can I just point out that we don't actually have one of those here in Australia. We don't have any way to report any side effects of these, like any previous marks of the beast or this current one. So it is highly suppressed. Yeah,
I want to say that, that's just a reporting system for our country, isn't it? I don't really know. I haven't fully looked into it. I think it's through the CDC, but I don't know for sure. But I don't know, man. We don't have to hang on this topic necessarily for the whole show or whatever. But I feel like obviously you're under a lot of scrutiny because you're in I think that in a lot of ways Australia is a testing ground, for trying to see how people respond to certain mandates and things like that. And I think it's just a matter of time that people are going to start. It's incremental steps. They're just going to continue to, have their little ebbs and flows where, you take a breather and then you go back into, the second wave or the third wave or whatever it's going to be. And, and it's, I don't know. I feel for you, brother. I don't want, it sucks. Obviously you're driving around, so you're not completely stuck,
No, just within my own local area at the moment. So so the entire state is locked down and we're broken into local government areas. So we can't go into another government area without having a test, having that thing shoved up your nose with whatever they say that does. like you have to have a test every 3 days, I think it is. So they're getting a massive amount of tests through because everybody has to work and everyone wants to leave their government area to go and work in another government, local government area. So that's another thing they're getting through. And soon, like I said, they're making the workplaces mandated, which is highly illegal in itself. Like people have just been in lockdown for almost 8-9 weeks now, and they haven't been able to work. They haven't been able to get an income. And now that they're allowed to go and get an income, if they haven't got the vaccine, they're the mark of the beast. I hope they didn't.
Oh yeah, this video is getting taken down already. I can feel it.
There it goes. There we go. If they haven't already got the mark of the beast, they are now forced to get the mark of the beast to go and earn an income after being locked down for so long without financial support. The government is handing out a little bit here and there, but it is nothing compared to what we need to live on. Like the cost of living here in Australia is through the roof. It is ridiculous. Like I got 5 kids, myself and my wife, and
really?
we spend we spend in excess of probably $500 Australian dollars in food weekly.
Oh yeah, I bet. I feel like we spend a lot of money. I only have 2 kids. Yeah. Crazy, man. I didn't know that you
what we need to survive. And what the government hands. Yeah, no, yeah, we homeschool as well. So that's another thing we can talk about. That's you. Have you still got me?
Yeah. There's a little bit of a delay, so it paused for a second, so I just didn't. Obviously, there's a little bit of a.
Hopefully that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hopefully we're good now. Yeah, so we homeschool, we eat organic, we drink fluoride-free water. We have a water filter that takes out all the fluoride. We just try to remove ourselves from everything that is bad and nasty. Like once we find out something is bad for us, something's a lie, something's deception, we can't unsee it. It's just repugnant to us. Like we cannot expose ourselves or our children to these things anymore. So that's just where this path has led us through research, through knowledge. We take action, and that's what I encourage everyone to do. Like if you find things out, act on it, research it, make sure that what you're doing is something that you're proud of being doing, I guess.
Yeah. So what are you doing? Are you working for someone still, or are you actually? I mean, I just started. I'm like doing my business full time now, and I don't work for anybody else. I just kind of do my thing, and honestly, I recommend that to everybody. If you can find a way to have enough income to survive, try to do your own thing if you can. And I don't know. I've been feeling like I don't want to be mandating anybody to, like that. I have an employee too. I don't mandate him to wear a face mask or anything. And, if somebody asks us to wear a face mask, I just say, all right, fine. If it makes you happy, I'll wear a face mask or whatever. But, some people might frown on me even just being willing to, put on a face mask for somebody.
Yeah,
but you got to through. Yeah. It just delayed a little bit. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, mate. So that's where it kind of, all this COVID stuff didn't really affect us personally until the mask mandates, which was probably at the start of this lockdown about 8-9 weeks ago. That up until then, our lives have been we've been ignoring everything. It's been in everyone's face, but we have, for the most part, we've been ignoring everything because it hasn't really affected us. It's been up to the point where the lockdowns happened, where they mandated the masks for absolutely everywhere. The government told us as soon as you step outside your house, you need to put a mask on, and that's not something that I'm willing to do. Like I've managed to get a medical exemption, which is legitimate. I have a medical condition that prevents me from wearing a mask. But even so, if you get pulled up by police, the police want to see your medical exemption, which is highly illegal. It's illegal to share or to disclose your medical history with anyone.
So they have
the police.
Is that kind of the Australian form of HIPAA or something? Like you don't have to disclose your medical rights or whatever, or
Yeah, yeah,
person.
we have something called the Privacy Act. It's got a date behind it. I knew all these things off by heart up until I think I got it here actually. The Privacy Act, 1988, protects pretty much everyone's privacy in Australia. If you know the laws, if you look it up, so if you're in Australia, please look up the Privacy Act 1988. You are not required to disclose your medical history to anyone at any time. It is highly illegal, and that's the law here in Australia that protects us from doing so. But the police still feel the need to pull us up to make us show our exemption if we're not wearing a mask. They still give us a fine, so they rely on people paying that $200. I think it's gone to $500 now for not wearing a mask. That's what they give it on the spot fine. And they rely on people not knowing the laws, being too scared to actually go to court and fight, because up until today, up until right now, I have not known of anyone actually going to court and it being upheld for the mask fine. So
it's
I
not
encourage
really,
anyone who is in Australia, please,
really,
if you do.
it's not really even a law. It's just the mandate can't be upheld in court because it's not a law.
No, exactly. The law system is being turned on its head here in Australia. We have laws protecting us, and they are still doing their job, but you have to stand up and fight for your rights, for those things that have been put in place. So if you do get fined, I encourage people to take it to court. I know people personally who have gone to court, who have fought it, who have come out without having to pay the fine, and they've even tried. They're trying to take it further for pretty much wasting their time, because time is money, and it's a whole rabbit hole to go down. But that's where this all started for me. So I didn't want to wear a mask. I had a medical reason for not wearing a mask on the work site, and I was kicked off some of the work sites that I was working on. Some of them are lenient, and they're not totally by the book of what the media are saying, because it's not really the government, it's the media most of the times.
I know, no kidding.
So,
yeah.
So I was working up until 2 weeks ago, I guess, when they've started this new round of they're slowly letting, like, everyone's still locked down, but you can go places if you have had the mark of the beast, if you have had the test, if you do these things, you are now able to go to work, to go to the shops, to have some sort of freedom. Or
man,
they'll allow you.
I'll tell you what, this stuff is it's a little bit scary for me, having young kids and having a wife that is struggling with anxiety all the time. I know I can't talk to her about some of the stuff that's happening. And, there's a lot of things that she is on board with me on, like a lot of the topics that I get into. Even to some degree, she's kind of accepted me for my flat earth belief, but she doesn't really like talking about it. But but the thing that really scares her is really talking about what will happen to they call them anti, mark of the beast people. And the people that are, in the know, like they have the informed consent. They know, what to expect, and they trust their immune system, right? So but what will happen ultimately is those people are going to be, forced to stay home, and progressively it's just going to get worse and worse for people like us. It's going to be and I'm talking to you, who's, in a worse off situation than I am, but for the most part, I know that it's coming our way as well, because we were there, with the first wave, right? So I am a little concerned that eventually they're gonna hope that we wage civil war against each other, because like you were saying, there's people that are just like tattling on you if you don't, like, abide by the rules or whatever. And it's like, oh, come on. Anyways, go ahead. There's a little delay.
Yeah, your friends and neighbours here have literally turned against you. But yeah, Australia has been a testing ground for a number of years, for a number of things. It seems like the New World Order, if you want to call it that, has been rampant here in Australia for a long, long time. And it seems like it's kind of our winter still. It's just coming out. about to come out of winter at the end of August and just into spring here. It seems like we just have to keep the ball rolling to get it back into the northern hemisphere, or hemisplane, whatever you want to call it, back up north where the big population centers of the world are, back to America, back to Europe. It just seems like we have to keep the ball rolling. We're the testing ground, see how everyone reacts in, because we've got relative small population compared to where you guys are, compared to Europe. But like everyone has just been, well, not everyone, there has been small pockets of people who have been resisting, and there's more and more with each day. Like you don't just have to be anti Mark of the Beast or anti something. Like this is affecting everyone as a whole, and it's affecting people's income, it's affecting people's ability to just provide for themselves and their family, and that's what's sparking a lot of people going to these protests. These protests are getting bigger here in Australia. There are people pushing back, but it needs to be a pushback as a whole. There are still the vast majority of the population doing the right thing, as the government calls it. They are complying. They are being complicit with what is all the illegal things that are going on here. It only works if the majority of the people are doing it. If everyone just ignores what the government's saying, ignores what the media is saying, don't watch the news, you wouldn't be any the wiser. You would just be living your life. You'd be doing what you want.
Yeah,
I can't see how they can kind of like it's easy for them to pull up the individuals that are doing, like, kind of going against it, being free but not wearing masks, not getting Mark of the Beast, just ignoring things. It's easy for the police and now the military. We've got the military here on the streets at the moment. It's easy for them to pull up those individuals. There's not many people freely walking around on the streets. Like, if everyone just lived their lives the way that we were a couple of years ago, I don't see what anyone could do. If it is just everyone's decisions, everyone's choice at an individual level to be part of the bigger picture, to not comply, pretty much. But everyone has to make their own decisions.
I feel like most of the people are probably more than 50% favor kind of our perspective, but I think that they're either afraid or they don't want to overstep and get in trouble or whatever. And I think that I think that, like, my brother-in-law is a great example of that. He didn't want to get the the Mark of the Beast. And obviously he did because he didn't want to lose his job. And for anybody that actually said, okay, I'll just go ahead and get the Mark of the Beast, I mean, you got to realize that there's something really it's such, I mean, isn't that just like so just abnormal? I mean, just the thought of being forced to, I mean, just when we put it in this terminology, the Mark of the Beast, it sounds so much more freaking heinous, right?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I know a lot of the people that listen to my channel are totally on the same page as us. But it's kind of, I don't know. I try to be open-minded with certain things, and I try to, I would be happy to have a discussion with somebody that, that is an advocate for it, I guess, just to kind of, debate with them and kind of go back and forth to see who has more logical approach. And really, it's not about logic. It's about conforming. And I think that we are approaching this logically, and we're being demonized for it, and it sucks. And it's only going to get worse, I believe. And my video is probably going to get deleted, and I'm going to get another strike or my channel taken down, but whatever. So
it's things like this that needs to be said, isn't it? Because it's like you said, I believe that a vast majority of the people have the same view that we have. Like, hell, 100% of the population of the world could have the same view that we have, but it all comes down to our own actions. It all comes down to us consenting to doing these things. As long as there's still people complying, people being too afraid to stand up, too afraid to go against the system, it doesn't matter what you think.
Yeah, be willing to face the consequences. So like, obviously, there's going to be consequences to, you know, if we start talking about this on YouTube, YouTube already has made it very clear that they don't want us talking about it. So, but with that said, I mean, I do have a BitChute channel, and I do have a, you know, freaking library or whatever, Odyssey, and you know, I just I don't want to be going to the echo chambers and just talking about the same things with everybody else. I mean, granted, you do want to be around like-minded people, but I still feel like we do have a place in this world so that we can, you know, spread the good news, so to speak. And you know, I just feel like you know, it's not necessarily the gospel or per se, but it's an ideology, and this is a war of ideologies. And I think that I appreciate you, Mitchell. I appreciate that you're willing to stand up and talk about stuff that is, you know, going to get you in trouble and get, you know, put you at risk. And nobody wants to be in that situation. Nobody. And you have a big family to deal with or worry about as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I was trying to get to it before, but I kind of trailed off. It's easy to trail off on these subjects, but I'm in the situation now where I've stood up for myself and my family. I have not complied, and my wife is totally the same mindset as me. She takes action when we need to take action, and she's in full support of the choices that I've made, not to wear a mask, not to get the mark of the beast. And ultimately now it's led to unemployment, our main income source. And that's the sacrifice that we have made in order to, for us to teach our children that we're homeschooling them. So they see everything that we do. We lead by example. We don't conform to things that are negative for not only ourselves, but for the people around us, for our world. And now I'm in this situation where I'm essentially unemployable here in the climate that we have. I can't go onto a work site without the mark of the beast or without a mask. I can't gain employment on other than doing things for myself. I have to be now my own boss, my own source of income, and that's why I've kind of reinvented myself into, like, I've always been a YouTuber, but
yeah,
now I've always wanted to do a kind of a daily show. I want to get a bigger audience. I want to kind of get something happening there with YouTube. And now I finally, it hasn't been the worst thing in the world that I've kind of been made unemployable, because now it's given me that kick to get Flat Earth School started, to get it happening, to get a different source of income, not relying on the system, because that's what it is. People want to be comfortable. People don't want to be hassled. People don't want to be questioned to why they're doing things. That's the basic human nature. We just want to live and be free. And we're being told on a daily basis over and over that you cannot do the things that you want to do unless you have the mark of beast, unless you wear the mask. And if you want to be part of society, it's even on the level of using YouTube. If you want to be part of YouTube, where the biggest audience is, where the most opportunity to make money, you have to comply. You have to do these things. And like you said, if it comes to the point where YouTube say, no, you can't talk about these things, we're going to get rid of you, so be it. I'll go to another platform. I'm not going to stop talking about these things. I'm not going to stop the actions that I'm doing because I'm being told, no, you're not allowed to do that. It's just not in my nature or my family's nature to make it easy for ourselves. You know, we'd like to be comfortable. We'd like to fit in. We'd like to not be hassled and just live an easy life. But unfortunately, it's not our values. It's not in our ideology. Like you said, it comes down to each individual. It's what, for some people, they draw a line in the sand. For a lot of people now here in Australia, the mark of the beast is where they draw the line in the sand. We don't have a line. It's just, if something doesn't sit right with us, it's not happening. There's no like, well, we'll see how it goes. It's bad for us. It's wrong. It's not happening. That's just how we are, and that's just the sacrifices that we're making. And so that's where I'm at the moment. I'm unemployable in the mainstream sense, and so if I encourage all your listeners, if you like, well, it's not just flat Earth content. If you like any goings on in the world, if you're curious what's happening in Australia, I'm going to be talking about these things. If you like these things, head over to my channel, Mitchell from Australia.
That's a good not stopping point, but a transition to the link on the screen is Mitchell's channel. So anybody that hasn't been to his channel, he's going to start a new series called Flat Earth School, right? So and obviously I want anybody that is part of the Flat Earth discussion probably knows who you are, because you're kind of you've talked to a lot of the big voices in that group of people, I guess. I have too, but to be honest with you, I don't really consider myself in that group necessarily, only because it's not my focus. It's not. I mean, I actually named my podcast "Contemplating the Cosmos." So in a way, it's disguised as, you know, the cosmos. Like, you know, Carl Sagan has the little series called, you know, the cosmos or whatever. So, but my perspective is the cosmos is really just everything, and you're investigating it, everything, and I'm trying to seek out truth and amongst all the deception, and that's kind of been my ultimate goal, I guess. So if anybody's interested in kind of the approach that Mitchell's taken, and if you haven't seen his other videos, he has a lot of really awesome, compelling videos talking about some of the, like one of them was the Black Swan video that I watched. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, do you want to go into that?
Sure, let's talk about it.
All right, so the Black Swan is from a it's a not just an image, it's a video. It's a kind of a what do you call it? An analogy. So the Black Swan analogy is if all swans are said to be white, if that's it in the world, if all swans are said to be white, it only takes one black swan to disprove that notion, to disprove that statement. And that's how it was in the world for forever, until people pretty much came across Australia, because I think that's where people discovered that, well, obviously Aboriginals were here living, but the Western world discovered that there were black swans here in Australia. Not all swans were white. And so the analogy is that it only takes one black swan to disprove that all swans are white. So where that comes in with the flat Earth black swan image is it all has to do with the horizon, with Earth curve. So in every instance, if you think you're living on a globe, that horizon that you're seeing, the visible horizon, the only horizon that we see, that has to be physical Earth curvature. It can't be anything else in your rhetoric. That's just what your maths says. That's what your reality is. You have a geometric shape, which is a sphere, and it has a limit to where kind of a visibility limit that you can't see past, because there's a physical blockage. Us flat earthers get mocked daily about ships going over the horizon, disappearing over the horizon, that it can only happen on a globe Earth because it is physical Earth curvature blocking those ships that they're going over. So where the Black Swan image comes into it, or the video comes into it, is we have an observation from a 1 foot observer height of the horizon in excess of 10 miles. So there's a couple of oil platforms off in the distance.
Yes.
They're just demarcation points. They're not actually part of what the Black Swan is. So there's one oil rig at 6 miles, one oil rig at 9 miles, and you can see the horizon above the bottom level of the back oil rig, which is 9 miles. So it could be more than 10 miles. We're just saying it. We're being nice to the globers here by saying it's only 10 miles. And so it only takes one Black Swan, like this image here. It only takes one notion that we are viewing a horizon that is not physical Earth curvature to disprove that the horizon is physical Earth curvature. That absolutely debunks the radius, that debunks Earth curvature, because if you put it into a Modus-Tollens argument, which is a logical consistency, if P then Q, not Q, therefore not P. So if P, the Earth is a radius, if P, it's a bit of a tongue twister. I'll try and get it out in one go. So if we are living on a globe with a radius of 3959 miles, then Q, every distance to the horizon must be no more than 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's just what your geometry, if you think you're living on a globe, dictates, that you cannot see past 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. So obviously, for this black swan image here, we've got a 1 foot observer height and a 10-mile, in excess of 10-mile horizon. So the horizon from 1 foot should only be 1.22 miles, no more. So
Yeah.
by seeing in excess of 10 miles, even if you say the observer height is 5 foot, it's 5 or 6 foot, a normal kind of person's height, which it's not, because if you look at my video on my channel, you can see that he bends right down, he's just above the water level. Even if you say it's 5 foot, the horizon the physical Earth curve horizon can be no more than 2.7 miles on a globe, and we're still seeing past 10 miles.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, so.
I mean, this stuff is compelling to me. Sometimes I like to play devil's advocate just to, consider other variables. Now, granted, I don't believe, the cup with the straw that goes into the glass of water. You could tell that it shifts, like it's what do you call it? Refracting. So there's refraction taking place. So we know that there's refraction that happens in the atmosphere. And
absolutely.
Another thing that I noticed, I was looking at my son's fish tank, and I remember looking at the fish, and it's like it's kind of curved. The tank is curved, and you can see the fish. It looks like it's magnified when you look at it straight through the front of the glass. But when you come around to the flat side, it almost looks like that fish was like 4 inches away from the front glass, but it looked like it was right next to the glass. You know what I'm saying? So I think that there's some sort of, well, obviously we have to be able to discern what that refraction is actually doing and how to interpret that. And
you played devil's advocate so well. I was hoping you were going to bring up refraction. I was smiling the whole time. This is great.
No, I mean I'm not disagreeing with you, but
this is where I wanted to go, because that's the next part of the black swan.
My brother loves trying to dismiss it and say, oh well, refraction or whatever. And the thing is, though, like, that's your interpretation of the refraction. But go ahead, I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so that's the next part of the black swan image. It's been set up in a way to force the people who think they're living on a globe to absolutely throw out the notion that their Earth curvature, the horizon, is not Earth curvature anymore. That's what we're getting. When you say refraction, you're actually saying that you are not seeing Earth curvature anymore. You are saying that it is an apparent horizon. It's not actual physical Earth curvature. So by saying refraction is fantastic. That's our argument. That's the flat Earth argument, that the horizon is not physical Earth curvature. And so when I'll go into a bit further. So even when they say refraction, they're talking like the globers and what I'll call anti-flat earthers. Anti-flat earther just goes against the flat Earth arguments. They don't really care if it's flat or globe. They just want to go against the flat Earth arguments. And that's where all the big YouTube channels that you see going against flat Earth, they are all anti-flat earthers. They just go against our arguments, and they are all they're all promoting the refracted horizon. So they're all saying, we're being told now that Earth curvature, the horizon, is not Earth curvature anymore. It's not physical. Boats don't get blocked now going over the horizon. Things don't disappear bottom up going over the horizon from physical Earth curvature. It's all an optical illusion now. That's our argument. It is all optical. And so it's kind of just seeing how predictable these anti-flat earthers are. And it's kind of trapped them. It's what refraction actually is that they're talking about is standard refraction, terrestrial refraction, which actually needs the R value in it. So the black swan has absolutely debunked the notion that we have a radius of 3959 miles. But in order to have terrestrial refraction around a globe, that they're saying that from our eyesight or a camera's eyesight to the horizon, it's been bent. But it's been bent at the rate of 7/6 r, 7/6 of the radius value. So this is where it becomes paradoxical, because you can't have, in the first place, the first instance, we don't have an R value now because of the black swan. And so if you don't have an R value, you don't have a terrestrial refraction value. You don't have R to put in that 7/6 R of standard refraction. And so it goes around and around in a loop. You don't have refraction because you don't have the R. You don't have the R, so you don't have refraction. It's turned into a total demolishment of the entire. It is the number one. That's what I titled my video, the number one flat Earth killer, globe Earth killer. Sorry, because it absolutely demolishes everything about the globe. It forces globe believers into a situation where they either have to turn into an anti-flat earther and just go against our flat earth arguments, or they can be honest and they can actually look into flat earth and see what flat earth is actually about, because you can literally see that we see too far. The globe dimensions are not there to be seen.
So,
and
I gotta say, just for those that haven't really done their investigation, I feel like the thing that has won me over to believing that this is a flat plane or something that's just you can't really discern what it is from our position unless. So what I'm trying to say is it's either there is refraction or there isn't, and so like sometimes you can see too far, and then other times it looks like it's refracted. So the rule is not the refraction; it's actually the rule is seeing too far. It's the refraction that becomes the variable, is what I notice. So if there's like I saw lights that you could see from I think the name is Muskegon, Michigan, that goes over 83 miles of Lake Michigan to Milwaukee. So you can actually see the lights of Milwaukee, 83 miles. I think that's the furthest one that I've seen as far as like from the ground level.
That's amazing.
You can get up on a hill or something and see further, but generally speaking, the rule is not refraction. The rule is being able to see too far. But the variable is refraction, depending on atmospheric conditions or whatever. So anyways, go ahead.
So yeah, absolutely. There's always going to be refraction in anything that we do, anything that we see through any air. It's always going to be a level of refraction, but it's what refraction actually is. So the globers want to tell us that refraction is terrestrial refraction. Like I said, it's 7/6 R of 7/6 of a radius value, which they don't have anymore. But what refraction actually is, true refraction, what we actually see, there's 5 types of refraction, actual real refraction that we can see, measure, observe on a day-to-day basis. So we've got mirages, that's a type of refraction. We've got stooping, looming, towering, and there's one other one that's escaped my mind at the moment. There's 5 types of actual refraction. And in each of those definitions of refraction, it is always an object moving, getting higher, lower, squashed.
Like superior mirage, like the inversion or whatever you call it.
Yeah, so that's an actual type of refraction, and it's in those 5 types of actual real refraction that we see. It is always objects relative to the horizon, and so that's where the whole anti-flat Earth movement has gone so strong with the black swan. They're saying it's refraction that we're seeing too far, but what real refraction is an object relative to the horizon. So what they're trying to say is the horizon is refracting relative to the horizon. And how farcical that is. The horizon doesn't move due to refraction. Objects move due to refraction, not the horizon. And that's even on the globe side. If a guy called Andrew Thomas Young, he's on the globe side. He has detailed these 5 types of refraction. He's a PhD in spectroscopy, I think it is, anything to do with light. He has detailed these 5 types of refraction, and he has detailed them all with the definition of an object moving relative to the horizon. And not once has anyone ever said, other than the anti-flat earthers, that the horizon is moving relative to the horizon. So when you say you've seen lights, or a video of seeing lights on a certain day and not another day, that's actual refraction. That's conditions being favorable on one day and not on the next. And that's because that object, the light, is being refracted up or refracted down, depending on the conditions. And that's relative to the horizon. That's not the actual horizon refracting. And that's why the black swan image is such a powerful globe killer, because it forces them into the paradoxical refraction of 7/6R. They're saying that the horizon that we see, they're now saying that's the apparent horizon. The refracted horizon is getting refracted from the geometric horizon, the horizon that we never see, that is actual Earth curve, that is now, we're told, we don't see the geometric horizon, we only see the refracted horizon. And that is it's an oxymoron. You don't see a refracted horizon, you only see the one horizon. That's all we see, and it's objects relative to the horizon being refracted.
Yeah, I actually feel like most refraction is actually distortion. So it either amplifies, but it becomes more distorted, I really like the one that Rob Skiba did. I don't know if you watched Rob Skiba stuff, but where he was looking over the Lake Michigan from the boat, or from the other side of the beach, and he could actually see the building look amplified, and it looked like it was being magnified by the atmosphere, and but it was missing on the bottom. So anytime you have like I don't know, like I was telling you about the fish tank thing, like when you look at it from the front, the fish looked like it was right there, but when you looked at it from the side, it actually looked like it was 4 or 5 inches back. So I thought, gosh, that's a great example of what's happening. It depends on what lens you're looking through. That there's a philosophical statement there. Depending on what lens you're looking through determines your outcome. So, there he is.
Hey mate, just pulled over. Got my flat Earth shirt on just to show everyone.
Not real. Yeah,
not real. We checked. Oh, it's down the bottom. Where is it? Oh, far out. Can't even see it. There we go. Not real. We checked. Oh, it's inverted.
Well, there you go. I don't even have. It's sad to think that I have more globes in this house than I do. I actually collect globes as a little. In fact, hold on. Let me show you. I have a little toy globe right here. You kind of. Oh, dude, it's like freaking stuck. It's like stuck in place here. See, this is my my little toy globe. It's a cartoon ball, right?
Yeah, it looks like my cartoon.
My niece made me a globe. She knitted it, and she's like, "I just wanted to knit you a globe because I wanted to show you what the globe really looks like." And that's what it comes down to. Is normally people just don't. Look at this. Pretty terrible. I have like globes all over the place, but they're like little souvenirs. Like to try.
I won't judge you. I won't judge you.
They're little. They kind of remind me of like a comic book or something. You have like a. I'm a collector of comic books too. But
that's cool. That's cool.
I don't know. It's not like I believe it. I just feel like the globe or the map, there's some maps that I thought were pretty interesting too. I don't know if you ever like looked at those old maps from the 1500s that had like Mount Meru and stuff like that on the North Pole.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting. Yep. But before we get into that, do you want me to just address the fish tank thing?
Yes.
So when you're talking about the fish tank refraction, that's a totally different concept altogether. That's where Snell's law comes in. So that's where you go fishing, you go kind of put a stick in the water, You look at a fish tank, you put a laser light. Everyone's seen those images of the laser light going through the fish tank, and it's kind of curving. It's making like a curve through the water. That's all Snell's law. And what it essentially is lights going from one medium to another. And so when those arguments get brought up with the black swan, we then ask whoever's making that argument to tell us which medium are we looking through? How many mediums? Are we looking through just one medium, or are we looking two mediums, which Snell's law details we must have? So looking from air into water, we're going to definitely get a massive refraction pattern happening there. So when the laser light goes from the air into the fish tank through the water and then comes out the other side, and there's glass as well, that's another medium. So air to glass to water to glass to air, it's going to be a massive refraction pattern. That's where we see that huge big arc shape in the water. When we stick a stick in the water, that's going from air to water, and like you can hunt taking that into account. You kind of know where the actual fish is going to be, judging just by your kind of experience. And you put the stick straight in the water, and it looks like it's sticking out that other way. And that's literally what it is. It's just one medium going into another medium. So when we're looking at the horizon just from our eyes, from a camera or anything, there's no medium change. That's why. And another reason why the black swan is such a unstoppable argument, such a demolishing argument for the globe, because we've had all these questions. This rodeo has been going on for 20 months now. The black swan is the number one globe killer still, and it hasn't been disproved.
I've been listening a lot to David Weiss, a lot of the interviews that he has. Now, granted, I interviewed him too, but I didn't really address all the issues with him. So I just want to, because he always he gets on from all the different angles, and it's just interesting listening to his interviews. I don't know if you follow some of the interviews he's probably interviewed 500 people. I don't even know.
He has 5 interviews a day, probably more. He's so flat out. He is such a busy man. He does so much for the community. He donates so much time, money, effort, just helping smaller channels out like myself. Yeah. He's just a great guy. He absolutely takes the piss every moment he can. He sometimes seems harsh on people, but he is the nicest, most giving, influential person in this movement I've ever known, and I wouldn't be here without kind of people like him.
Me personally, I think that David Weiss is the top guy in my view, as far as the one who does the most for the community. The one that doesn't make it look like people like us are stupid as much. You know what I mean? He actually, because everybody's always scratching their head when they're done talking to him. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. There might be some truth to this," or whatever. And so anyways, I don't know if you ever talk to him still, but he does. I follow a lot of his interviews, and I love listening to him just break the ice with people that just don't believe in flat Earth, but they're open.
That's his specialty. He just goes. He has so many interviews. He's got it down packed. He's got all the really basic arguments just to make people kind of see the world for how it is. We've all been indoctrinated through school, through the media, through just everyday people, through workplaces. We've been told where we live, but he puts all that into a perspective where you can kind of question that. And that's where your flat Earth journey starts, with just listening to an interview with him. He has been around for so many years now. As I said, probably doing 5 or more interviews a day around everywhere internationally. He's just putting that message out. He's marching the movement forward so well. He's just amazing.
People don't even think flat Earth is as weird as it was 5-6 years ago. I actually started looking into it in 2015, and that was when I started. And it was kind of an foot. I guess it was a stepping stone, on the proverbial ladder that went up. Obviously with the stuff that's happening in the world now, it's clear to me that there's going to be more changes coming. And, I think that a lot of it was ignited by the flat earth movement, to be honest with you. And, you know what I'm saying? I feel like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's something got triggered with, and the whole YouTube algorithm or, Facebook and all that. I feel like all the censorship kind of started with the flat earth stuff, right?
Absolutely. Mark Sargent made it. He's been, Mark Sargent. He does a weekly show on Truth Frequency Radio, and also he's got a YouTube channel. He does. He's been in since the kind of start of this modern flat Earth movement since like 2014, 2015. He made it a statement at the start of each show to look up how many hits flat Earth has, the numbers, all that sort of thing, and it got to kind of the second year of him doing that. He got a massive following, and then YouTube takes it all away. You can't see how many view results anymore there are for flat Earth, because it was just going up into the tens, hundreds of millions of views for flat Earth. It was getting so popular. So it seemed like YouTube made an effort, and they literally detailed. I think it was a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, their kind of what we call their censorship policies. They literally detailed 9/11, something else, and flat Earth in things that they're not going to be tolerating anymore. So they literally had to detail flat Earth.
Bring my video again with this. Not to mention the freaking that date is coming up soon. I kind of feel like that's like some sort of gematria or numerology that they like. Anyways, whatever.
Yeah, we won't go off on that tangent. It's so easy to go off on a tangent. But there was something. Oh yeah, this whole kind of the world that we're living in at the moment, the whole COVID thing. We can totally take the rap for this happening. Like the Black Swan came out January 1st, 2020, and then it went downhill very fast after that. Everything started to kind of. There was an opportunity for a lot of people en masse to look into flat Earth from the Black Swan image, and it has worked. But with everything going in the world, people just don't have time to look into conspiracies, to look into truths. They're too worried about just getting to work, like I recently have been, to get an income, just to look after their family, to do the normal things. That it's just pulled them away from other truths about the world. Like flat Earth may be the biggest deception that we have ever known, or not known, because we don't know what we don't know. But
yeah,
it's kind of taking the cake at the moment for what's going on in the world. It's kind of trumped it.
I might try to open your mind to something real quick. So this has kind of been the thing that's kind of taken me to another level of deception, you might say. I actually feel like there's a so I don't know if you have a Christian background or whatever. I know that you like hung out with Paul on the plane. I know he's like gung ho Christian guy, but there's a Bible verse that says this battle's not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of darkness and heavenly realms. So I started looking a lot into the paranormal stuff, and like, there's a lot going on with the demonic deception, you might say. And, I feel like that actually, so this whole, wool that they're pulling over everybody's eyes is, they're just trying to get us to buy into the narrative. That's all that they've wanted us to do, is buy into the narrative. And the best way to buy into the narrative is to, feel like we're trapped and we don't have a way out. So I think we're even getting closer and closer to that, where we have to abide by the government, or we're potentially. See, I don't even want to say it, but I feel like it's going to get to the point where if we don't do what the government tells us to do, it's going to be freaking Nazi Germany all over again. Not just that, but they're going to start killing people just for not obeying. And I mean, I hate to admit it, but I mean, see, these are the kind of things that my wife doesn't want to talk to me about. It scares her too much.
it must be difficult having someone that you love that is so close to you that you can't kind of get to these conversations. There's so many people out there. I'm so lucky that my wife is, I wouldn't say 100% on board. Like she there's a lot of reluctance with flat Earth, but anything to do personally with us, she's totally on board. So it really helps to get those loved ones kind of over the line, and they're the people we need to be talking to, to showing how big this deception is, to kind of not convincing, but just to open their eyes, because it's that support on a personal level that we all need, our close friends and family, because once we have that, we can expand, we can kind of open other people's eyes. We have more time, not only talking to our close friends and family, but to everyone. Kind of gone off a bit of a tangent there. I'm not predominantly Christian based. I did go to a Christian high school. I kind of get a lot of values from the Christian values. There's a lot of things that I don't agree with, but since kind of looking into flat Earth, it's kind of led me down a path where I've had a serious look at whether we came from like the Big Bang scenario, which just doesn't sit with the flat Earth at all. There's so much evidence against that into the other ontological primitive of a creator, and that's where I'm at the moment. I am totally open to the idea that we have a creator, that everything has a divine purpose, that we have purpose to us living.
Yeah, so, I started listening. Well, there's a guy that came onto my channel. I can't remember the name of it right now, but anyways, he gets into the concept of near-death experiences being a deception, and that whenever you have an experience, like say you encounter Jesus or something, but it's actually it's the angel of light, or there's no good, it's all bad on the other side, and that we were all created by this horrible being or whatever, and we're just in a petri dish, and they're just trying to, it's like the alien ant farm kind of scenario. And
right.
So and I'm not like saying see this whole big deception, like I remember hearing a story where this guy was taking a trip to Antarctica, and he was hired by this government agency or something as a subcontractor, and he actually encountered this like stone building that was like suspended in the air, and it was like a cube or something. And he actually said that he went when they were going close to the building, this electrical being type thing, it was like made out of electricity, came out and said that they weren't they were communicating telepathically, and it was saying we told your leaders that you were not allowed to come to this place, this barrier. You have to return and never come back again. We've told you, or something like that. So in some ways, it seems like there is a barrier there that we're not allowed to come past, right? So, but at the same time, it's like, man, there's just so much going on where I don't know what to believe. I mean, there's nothing I can really believe. You just have to do your research, go back to school, go back to the roots, man. You have your flat Earth school or whatever.
Come to flat Earth school, you might get some questions answered. But yeah, that's a great perspective on things. I haven't really looked into that side of like kind of spirituality, what happens after this world, because all my YouTube videos all the flat Earth school videos I'm going to be doing is what we experience here on our personal level. It's what we see, it's what we can demonstrate, it's our world around us, and that's what the flat Earth school is. I'm not a teacher, I'm a student just like the rest of us. We're all learning. I'm not here to tell people what things are or aren't. I'm going to be out in the world, I'm going to be demonstrating things, I'm going to be showing people my beautiful local locations, and I'm going to be just showing people the world around us, and trying to put that into a new perspective for some people, and get some questions answered, and also pose new questions. There's so much we don't know, and we, like you said, you really don't know what to believe anymore. You have to, on a personal level, just start from scratch, break down everything you've ever known, question whether any of this is even true, and just work your way up from there. You have to prove to yourself what is true and what isn't, because there's so much deception.
So what are you going to be using to do your testing? Do you have like a P900 or P1000? Are you doing like I mean, what kind of testing are you going to be doing?
This will probably be the last topic. I'll do about 5 minutes until I have to go and do some other stuff. But yeah, so I've got two. Well, I've kind of got three. One broken P900, but yeah, two working P900s, because I just use them everywhere. I've dropped one. I've actually dropped two. One of them's still working, but one's just damaged beyond repair. So I've got two P900s. I've got a P1000. I've got a DJI Maverick 2 Pro drone, and what else am I going to use? I'm just pretty much using those utensils, and just everyday things like a bubble level. I just went out and kind of scoped out a good location on top of a mountain to kind of detail the dip angle that that we see from going up high compared to a bubble level, and that's going to be one of my live streams.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just going to be sorry.
No, go for it.
I'm just going to be out in the world. I'm going to be using these optical devices. I'm going to be using just the world around me to show to everyone, to demonstrate how our world works, how, well, it's kind of my perspective on the world, but I'm using the world as it is the school. It teaches us everything we need to know. We don't have to use our imaginations like the globe has to use. It gets your imagination. It gets you into a world that isn't your own, that isn't around us, that is not your reality. That's what the globe is. I'm trying to bring people back into our reality, and it presents itself, our world around us presents itself as flat, stationary, enclosed. It's observably flat. I'd say it's obviously flat. It's measurably flat. That's what I'm going to go into. There's a video that I'm going to be releasing at the end of this week. It's going to be the #1 flat earth proof, because I don't think there's enough of them out there. I don't think we can put it down to one thing yet, but I've kind of been listening to some groups. I've been doing my own observations, and I think I've kind of come down to something that we can put our kind of money where our mouth is, to say that yes, is definitely flat and level where we live, and that's what I'm going to be presenting at the end of this week.
So okay, you're gonna put out your first official video for Flat Earth School at the end of this week, and
no, so Monday, tomorrow's going to be the first session, okay, gotcha, I suppose, of the Flat Earth School. So there's going to be 5 daily sessions. Monday to Thursdays is going to be me, different locations, just doing observations, talking about it, explain things. Thursday, I think it is, I'm going to schedule it into kind of announce what the #1 flat earth proof is, what I think it is, what a lot of people are talking about right now. And then every Friday, I'm going to have a special guest on. This Friday will be Paul on the Plane. We're going to kind of have a bit of a Dome Life podcast reunion session, and I'm really looking forward to catching up with Paul, because we've both been busy. We've both gone in kind of different sort of lifestyle directions at the moment. It'd be really good to catch up with him. So
yeah,
if you enjoy the world around you, please just drop in, just see what I'm doing. If you like what I'm doing, I've got a Patreon, which is whatever Patreon is / Mitchell from Australia. That's just the standard kind of Patreon thing. And that's just what I'm going to be doing. So if you like my stuff, please drop by, spend your time on looking into the world around you, because for me, that's the world around us is just such a fascinating place, and I hope to kind of open people's eyes to that.
Yeah, it's easier to appreciate what's around you when you kind of can see things for what they truly are. And yeah, so I get it. So Mitchell, again, I appreciate you taking your time, and it's actually getting late over here. It's almost midnight, so I have to get up to go to work. So
sorry, mate, keeping you up, but yeah.
I usually go to bed about this late anyway, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, it was nice meeting you officially. And if you see Paul, say hi to him. I've had a couple of interviews with Paul, so
absolutely, I will.
So all right, man. Have a good night, and thanks everybody in the chat. I haven't been getting too much involved with the chat, but I see you guys are blowing it up, so I appreciate.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, let me post it one more time here and see if
awesome.
In fact, maybe I can just yeah, there you go.
And if you want this shirt, I'm pretty sure it's still available on paulontheplane.com. Not real, we checked. It's a spin-off of the anti-flat Earth slogan of not flat. We checked. Paul on the Plane made it up. It's totally his merchandise. He's still selling them. So if you want a shirt like this,
that's good. All right, man. Well, thanks again. And this is the link to his channel. If you guys want to check it out, head on over there. And then I guess we'll call it a night or call it a day wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, the sun's just, it was kind of poking through behind me there before. Yeah, it's about, what is it, 3:30 in the afternoon here?
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, thanks a lot for your time, Charlie. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time and kind of what you're doing is really, it's making a difference. every little bit is making a difference, mate.
Yeah, everybody should do that. Make a difference.
Make a difference. Make an active difference. Don't just think it, do it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Charlie.
All right.
Bye, mate.